Okay, Huddle is live, and we'll wait for it to see the stream pop up over here. And very good. I'm missing a co-host. That's okay. I'm sure he'll be right back. Actually, just hit go live. So our adoring fans can start pouring in. All right, yeah, here we go. Here we are. So we're right about on time, just a little bit early. Welcome back. We are live. Don't feel like you're missing the downbeat to the top of the set or anything. I just figured you'd be right back, and I'd just get everything rolling while you were away, because I just got back to my computer too. But yeah, we are cooking.
It's like tuning my strings right as the count off of the first song is going down.
Or even after the first downbeat, just like playing like, oh, ooh, okay.
Just slide into that first note.
Yeah, there you go. You got to bend it just a little bit until you can get to that tuning peg. It's good. How you doing, Courtney?
I'm good, Spencer. It's been a long week, but a good one, a productive one. I'm happy to have a productive week under my belt.
It's a good feeling.
I know we've been talking off screen. I'm building a music I'm building a practice app, but I have to use a lot of the web audio API, and that's been an education. Absolutely, at this point. It's actually a lot easier to work with than I would have expected on the outset, and I'm learning a little bit about the physics of sound and the kinds of things that you have to learn to be able to manipulate it with code. So enjoying that process thus far.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That is definitely an item on a bucket list of mine to like make a metronome and a drum sequencer app. I think I mentioned that maybe on the stream before, but
Yes.
so when I finally get around to maybe doing something like that, I might have to come and ask you some questions.
Yeah. We'll collab.
Absolutely. My week has been going well. It's just been crazy trying to get some work done for Nebulae before I head out of town for about 3 weeks. A lot of registration form like reorganization, really getting to know the Formic library and the Yup library pretty well, which is
What
really
is
good.
Yup?
Yup is it's used for validation. So you know how Zod has your form field name, and then it's got all those methods of like required number,
Mm-hmm.
to force to check that input data against for validation, right? And to send
Mm-hmm.
errors. Yup is the library that builds those validation schemas that you can use to build the validation schemas, and then you take that validation schema and you pass it to the Formic provider and form, and then the Formic uses that as its validation process. Um, they just always go together. I've never seen in the multiple times I've seen Formic and Yup, they're always together. It's just like a pairing. I don't know if they're made by the same people or if they just go really well together, but they're always there. So learning about those, learning some other things, some useful things about React too, which has been kind of eye-opening and fun.
Like what?
Okay.
Hit me with it.
It seems like it's uh the so when you make like last week at the very end of our episode, you make a UL, and then you like you loop over an array of options, and then for each of those options you make an li, and then
Mm-hmm.
each of those li's needs to have a key, right? React will
Right.
scream at you and be like, hey, you need to give these a key. And so that key, that what I just described there, UL with a dynamic list of li elements and then adding a unique key to each one,
Mm.
that is the only situation in which I have ever been taught to use the React key prop, right? For
Mm,
that reason. And
yeah,
the whole reason is so that React sees each of those LIs as a unique item, right?
sure, right.
So I'm doing this registration, like, redesign and expansion reorganization process, and um, it came down to the idea that I had two separate issues and two separate bugs that were solved by the eventual realization of the power of that key prop. One was I'm making a multi-step form, and I'm conditionally rendering the set of form fields for each of those steps. So you get to step 3 of the form, and you
Mhm.
input something into one of those form fields, and then you move on to step 4. One of the step 4 form fields was being like, visually, not in the data in the state, but visually was being pre-filled with the selection you had made on the form field of the previous step. And I could not for the
Oh,
life of me figure out why that was happening until I realized I'm conditionally rendering. So I have a div with a bunch of form fields, input fields inside of it. And that is changing within the same, like, parent div, and they didn't have keys on them. So React was getting them mixed up. When they would switch, it's like, oh,
oh,
this form field is supposed to have this input in it, right? Like, no, because they're unique. Once I gave them each of those sets of fields a key, problem went away. I also had the same issue with, alongside each of those steps, we have a component that is giving, like, the step instructions.
mm,
Um, so it has, like, different text instructions for each of the steps, and each of those step instructions is also being rendered dynamically along as the step property changes. You go step from 1 to 2, they both change. 2 to 3, they both change. And the instruction component is supposed to animate in, right? It's supposed to have this nice little, like fade in effect. It
mm,
only worked on the first step, and then it stopped working after that point.
oh,
And again, for the same reason, because it didn't have a key. The animation library and React, or some combination thereof, did not identify that each of those subsequent instruction components that were being rendered dynamically was a new container of content
huh.
to then trigger the animation again. It was like, I've already animated in. So no, I'm not going to animate these things. That's the same div, isn't it? And once I put the key on it, then it sees it and says, "Oh, those are each unique divs, so each one now gets an animation."
That's wild.
Yeah, it was frustrating because it took me way more time than I would like to admit, to finally find that answer through some digging, and kind of, like, because I didn't really know what was going on. I just kind of had to search, explain in as few words as possible the error I was having, and then eventually I
Mm.
got led to a Stack Overflow, or something here or there, and it was all the key. It's that simple.
So it's funny how that works. Sometimes it's like you're trying to find the solution, and it's just like you're wandering through the mist, and then you find that one Stack Overflow page or that one piece of documentation, and it just something clicks, and you finally start to understand the problem at hand and what you have to do, and then you get that nice little tool in your tool belt
Yeah,
that you have saved for later.
I will never misunderestimate or not apply the key again when I am conditionally rendering, like, multiple like divs of things in a row like that.
You know, we should do like a what we learned this week from coding, like segment at the beginning every
Wow,
time. I
show, or just entirely second show.
Yeah,
What
honestly,
we
you
learned this week.
could
There
do
we
that.
go.
But I want to mention something too that I learned.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we're setting up. This might be relevant to today. Like, let's say you want to set up your colors, like some custom colors, in your Tailwind config file, right? Um, you can give them whatever name you want, but you have to fill in the actual hex codes and such. Now there are multiple places you could do that in the config file. You could put them. You could put a color object inside of theme.
Hmm.
Um, and you could also put one inside of extend, which lives inside
Right.
of theme. And both will work, but they do different things. And what I found out is that extend adds your custom colors, to the Tailwind palette of colors. If you put it inside of theme,
Oh.
it erases for that project the Tailwind custom colors, and now it's only the ones that you've explicitly declared.
Oh,
And that is
really?
what Extend does. Yes, exactly. I always wondered because I'd see documentation on both Stack Overflow and just other places, and some would say, "Oh yeah, you just put it inside of theme. Oh, you just put it inside of the Extend object," and it didn't make sense to me. Why would there be two places to do the exact same thing? Well, that's the reason, at least as far as I've read. So
So
I generally
if
put it in Extend now because I like to have
y-
access to the basic colors in case I want them.
so you're saying that if I put a single color into the theme colors object in the Tailwind config, that you no longer have access to like red 500.
I think so. Yeah, it essentially overrides the
Wow.
tailwind colors. We should try that today.
I
Double
guess
check it, but like I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Yeah, because otherwise,
interesting.
why have extend? You know, it's like
Yeah.
two
And I
separate
guess
places for the
that
same thing.
that gives you the ability to wipe the palette clean and just use your very own so that there isn't confusion. You could
Because you
even
might have your own shades of red, blue,
yeah,
green.
you could even like decide for yourself to have a totally different red 500, red 400, red
Mhm.
300. And you need tailwinds to get out of the way, so that's the way to do it. Interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a good tidbit. I like that. Nice. Okay. Got any music?
yeah. Always love to spotlight bass players. I got a famous one on mine, but I just mentioned Thundercat. I've been delving into his discography lately, and I've had a song from I think it's his most recent album from 2020. It is what it is, and the song is called Dragon Ball Durag. It's very fun, and it's also like it's like a really cool song, and I actually find myself driving to it a lot. But he has a sense of humor that mixes really well with his musical style. I would say
Okay.
heavy
I've
recommend.
I have heard of Thundercat many, many times.
Mm,
I've probably heard something, but I've never like sat down and like listened to Thundercat.
mhm.
So that's something I should probably do. Um, for me, as a tie-in from last week, where I talked about Mike Portnoy and Dream Theater and the instrumental song, one of my drum students sent me a link to. I'll again mention the site Drumeo. They're a huge online drum lesson platform of all sorts, and they get like the biggest names. They get massively famous drummers to come in and do drum camps and master classes and teach on all sorts of things. And over the last couple of years, they've been starting to do these things where they bring in a drummer who's very famous for playing, let's say, jazz. And then they set him down in the studio and they're like, okay, we're going to play for you this like death metal song and we want you to
Oh
learn it and
yeah,
play it.
I've
Right?
seen these videos. I love these. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Drumeo. They're doing that. So they had Mike Portnoy in a while back, and they're just, because it's free content on YouTube, they're like trickling, slowly dripping out those pieces of content over time. And what they did for his was they had him learn, I think it's called Numa by Tool off of their latest album.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And it's like a 12-minute like insanity of time signatures and feels and things. And who better than Mike Portnoy? Because he like Dream Theater is all about like they time signature changes and crazy stuff like that was their thing. And the video is like obviously it's not this long. The whole thing's like 30 minutes that they truncate, but they
Mhm.
had him in the studio, I think, for 4 or 5 hours, um, digesting and learning that song and then finally performing it to a degree. And it was really, really entertaining and interesting to watch because Tool does all kinds of crazy stuff like that, and Portnoy has the ability to do it, but he still struggles quite a bit, and it's really entertaining.
I love that series because whether you like the song that they're hearing for the first time or the drummer themselves, there's like a little bit of something for everybody because
Yeah,
you can kind of see like how someone from one genre maybe sees or thinks of another genre or how they would approach learning it at the very least. It's a very
yeah,
very very cool
yep.
series.
Also gives some vision. I've watched a couple from some other drummers, and this idea that you have drummer A who plays a very particular genre of music, or he's famous for playing a particular genre of music, either famous or successful or whatever you want to say. Um, but then watching them have to learn something outside of their comfort zone, and they all do like a really good job of it, showing this idea that how well-rounded these drummers are. They're not just metal drummers, they're not just jazz drummers, they're not just country drummers. Like
Hmm.
they have the skills and the musicality and the understanding. It's like, yeah, I don't play metal, but yeah, I can learn a metal tune and like play a little bit of that, right? Maybe it doesn't
Right,
sound as
right.
good as like a metal drummer playing it, but I think watching their versatility, that's maybe not something that you see. It's hard to highlight for players, right?
It is hard to highlight, and it's it's not something that we're used to seeing in people when you identify them with such a specific sound. I mean, it's cool to see.
Yeah. So cool. We spent some time there. That was all great. I love that. Let's move on. Do you want to start us off in the code, or let's see? I was kind of in the driver's seat last week a bunch, um,
Sure.
and
Let me-
you already mentioned this thing about the theme, and that's one of the first things we're probably going to have to do at least a little bit is set up our theme with our colors.
Yeah, let's investigate that. Okay, I will take us there. Give me a moment
Back
here to
to
share my
back
screen.
to the grape zone.
That's right. The
Grape
grape zone.
grape
I love
grape
it.
grape Fanta over here.
The grape escape. Here we go.
The grape. Ah, yes, I love it. Okay.
All right, so I've got our config file pulled up. Here's a place where I'm kind of curious how you do things because there's a lot of different what do you call it, like theories on how to do this. But here's our color scheme that we've chosen, and um, so like when it comes to how you name your colors, like I actually have the colors object. It looks like set up inside of theme. I kind of want to test this just to make sure that this is the case because I
Yeah.
haven't tested what I told you. But anyway, do you name them like by the name of the color? For instance, would you call it Delft Blue or Atomic Tangerine or Vanilla? Or do you use more of um, a referential system where it's like primary, secondary,
Mm,
submit, danger, that kind of thing?
yeah. Well, I guess there's two things there with how you mentioned that. With the idea of like success, danger, info,
Mm,
I like using those specifically for the colors that are going to be used in that way. Like if it's an error message or a
right.
success message or info pop up or something, I do like that idea of just saying of danger because I've seen that pattern and worked in that a couple of times now. So that just seems really logical. That and those colors stay very specific but separate.
Mm,
Um, I can see benefits both ways of going, primary, secondary, tertiary, or you can even have like background primary, background secondary. You can have that sort of
right.
thing. Or you could go with, I mean, if I was going to go with a color name, I would go with the theme and then I would go very basic. So I would say blue, orange,
Okay. Okay.
tan, or yellow, or like a light blue. And just knowing that like that's our brand blue, right? It because I feel like it would be it'd be redundant or unnecessary to label everything as brand blue, brand orange. Like, of course, those
I
are colors
agree.
you're selecting, right? Um, so I like the idea of the like primary, secondary, tertiary. You can have primary, secondary background. Uh, you could have I don't know, text primary. I'm trying to think about like how you end up using the colors and then
Well,
maybe
then,
trying to name them a little bit. But
yeah,
the thing with like primary secondary for me that is a little hard to peg would be, but where does this go? Okay, this is our primary color, but what are we putting our primary color on? Is that a text
mhm.
color? Is that a border color? Is that a background color? Right?
It's
Um,
almost like maybe primary and secondary would be like um, configurations of the colors that we have, right? It's like
mm,
you might pass that as like a prop to like a button, for instance. Like what kind
yeah,
of button is this? It's a primary button, which means that it'll have this color as its main. Yeah, I see.
yeah,
Okay.
I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And yeah, and being able to do button and then like theme or style primary or color primary into your component to get that. that style button out of there. That makes a lot of sense.
Well,
So
tell you what. Let me name these. Should I just go with like vanilla and the other names that they have right now, or do you have a preference?
um,
Otherwise, we have to decide kind of what role these have, and that's where I always struggle. Is
yeah,
like, do
I'm
we?
not a designer.
Yeah. Okay. Here, I'll tell you what we'll do like this. I've been finding camel case works well with these, and actually, I don't think we need to have quotes on them.
If I did have one piece of input here,
Hmm.
I would like to do something where with like I said, that more generic color name.
Okay. So,
Because personally, I would not want to have to type out atomic tangerine.
I guess we could just call it orange since
Orange,
we have it in
yeah,
here, and blue. We have two
dark
blues,
blue.
right? Okay, dark blue. I like that.
Vanilla works. That could also be like a tan, or that would be the only thing. But I think vanilla is fine.
Call
Dark
this
blue,
mint.
mint. Okay, let me
Well,
see.
it says
Oh,
mint
okay,
green,
yeah,
but
yeah,
honestly, to my eye, this almost looks like blue.
yeah. I mean, we've got like a dark blue. Yeah. It says light blue, but mint green. I think of that as more of like a light blue of some sort, like almost like an off white. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I
you could
see
even
that.
call it white or off white, just for our purposes. Again, just
I'll
trying
call
to
it
come
off
up with
white.
just a name that very, very easily identifies what we're looking at here.
Would off white have a capital W? I honestly don't know.
Oh,
Is it off white or is it?
I think it's capital W. Yeah, let's go with capital
Okay,
W. Off white.
we'll, we'll hang with that. Okay, so I'm really curious. I just want to try this out. Let's put a background color in just to see how this works.
Which I think would
One
be that
thing,
off white, right? Oh, you're not
yeah,
talking about the design just yet, so yeah, yeah. We can just
no,
test it with any of
not quite.
them.
One thing to note, I think every time you edit your config file, you have to restart the server manually. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, restart that. Now, let's I suppose go to the main page. I'm just gonna set a background here. BG off white.
You're doing
I can't.
the off. Pick a color more obvious. Go dark blue
Good call. Good call.
or orange or
I was
something.
like,
Yeah.
did it even take place?
Nope.
Okay. Nope. Now, I guess it wouldn't happen here because this is actually the main page, and these are not. Hold on. Let's do this actually on the to do page. That would make sense.
I think it should have popped up on that main there. If I'm
Well, because we're
mistaken.
linking to a separate page, so it doesn't. I guess you're right though. Let's test it. Oops.
Oh, it would have been the main page actually. Yeah, the page you're looking at, I think it wouldn't work. I think you're right.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Cool. Now, if
So
I'm
yeah,
to
we're
put
gonna have to set it
in,
on the body.
yeah, we'll set it on the body. But I'm just curious if I set blue, does that work? No. Yeah. So we did
Try
override
try
the.
blue 500.
Okay. Oh, right. That's right. They always have a number with them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Theory
Now we know.
confirmed. Okay.
Okay. So with that in mind, yes, we'll go to the body, which would be on the layout. Is that right?
Yeah, there it is right
Yes.
there.
Cool. Okay. Intro dot class name. So this is. I've actually never understood how this works. Like, what is happening here? It seems like
Yeah, that's coming from the Google font thing. I don't fully understand what it is. My idea would be put that inside of a template string and then add our class name within the string
gotcha.
beside it and see if that maintains the font. And if not, we can figure out font stuff later as well.
Oh, did we want dark blue or the
I
or
think
off
I
white?
think uh we could go a few different ways. My thought for like if we're talking design would be for either the off-white or even the light blue to be our primary background to build on.
Here's our off-white, which doesn't look terrible. Let's try light blue. Hmm. It would be nice to have a lighter color, so to use this and then have an option for a lighter color
On
to
top of it.
contrast on
I
top.
kind of like that actually. Yeah.
One more thing I just want to try is vanilla, just to see how that strikes us. Eh, eh,
Not bad. Not bad.
yeah.
If you did that, I mean, so I think we'd have to be thinking about what, you know, how things are going to pop. So I think
Hmm.
with the vanilla background, I think the blue is going to pop off the screen. I mean, the blue is going to be the contrast, right? The blue is going to be the thing that's going to pop off and capture your eye.
But this
Um,
won't.
whereas if it's the blue, then the orange and the yellow are really going to pop, and those will be more of the accent. So I think whatever we set as the primary background is going to dictate what our more kind of accent pop colors are going to be as instead. And I actually don't know which way I'm going to go on that because if you look back at the original image of uh, of this color scheme
Oh, let me see. I'll pull it up here.
has has the yellow and orange more prominently um, placed, and then all of the blues are actually more of the like accent colors. And I kind of like the look of that, to be honest.
Spencer, what was the number of the color scheme we used?
Number 37. Great question.
37. Thank you.
But I kind of like the like almost like desert look of this, just because the reason I ended up really like once you suggested it, this was not on my original like list of color schemes that I was interested in. But once you mentioned it, I realized how many color schemes I chose that I liked that were very like blue, purple, cool colors. And I think
Right.
that's a very typical, very common theme structure. A lot of apps and sites that I go to and see on a regular basis are some sort of like cool colors, blues, purples. Um, and I actually really like the idea of this be having like the warm colors here, this vanilla and this tangerine, um, being much more prominent, and then the blues being the accent instead of the other way around.
That is kind of nice. Let's take a look at the tangerine as a background, the
Or
orange, if you will.
I like that as an accent color a lot more.
I do too.
I
I do
think it
too.
would, but I think if we went with the vanilla, this is what I'm thinking now: is the vanilla as the background,
Mm.
and then our off-white could be used inside of the form inputs as like the background behind the text.
Like
So
right
that you,
here.
yeah, because then
Yeah.
it's something that's light, and usually, if I think I'm sure you can go any way with it, but I'm imagining most forms that I interact with, the background behind the text is usually a lighter color.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually.
So
That's
I
what I've
think
seen
that
too.
would fit really well in there as the off-white being kind of like that background color, and then our orange can be. I saw something a while ago that was talking about how you distribute color schemes, and it was like
Mm.
was it I think it was like 60-30-10. If you have three colors, you have a color that's like 60% of your design. That's going to be the major color that's just like kind of everywhere, your general color. Your 30 color, which is going to be 30% of your design on your screen, and then your like really accent color is only the 10%. Like that's going to be like a border, maybe a button background, and that thing's really going to pop. And I think the tangerine, especially if our 30 color is more of one of the blues, that tangerine is going to bounce like really jump off of those blues. It's going to stand
And
out.
this vanilla would be our 60 then, because it's our
I
background and
Yeah, I think so at the moment. And
okay.
this would be one argument now I'm having for the idea of going with primary, secondary, tertiary is because that's really easy to theme change. If you have primary all over the place in different places, all you
Yeah.
have to do is switch your hex code for your primary, and all of those places change. But if we start
Right.
putting, if we, and I mean, you could do find all and replace as well, but that's, you potentially run into like crosses there and maybe change something you didn't intend to change. Whereas primary is one thing that you change it, and it just changes in all the spots, as opposed to
I'm
having to
not
go through and
opposed
look
to
for
that.
everything that's orange or everything that's vanilla.
Potentially something we could do as well would be to
Yeah.
include other colors. We could do like our own version of 100. Or not, sorry, I don't need this, but we put the hex code here, and then we have like a 200 under primary,
Hmm.
so that like we could reference different colors without having to, or even like shades, I guess, of the same color.
Yeah. Can we, without the object here on the primary, can we just make, like, set up right now, um, some of these colors? Like, we're gonna have duplicates here, but like leave all of our colors the way they are for the moment. But
Sure.
let's put like vanilla into the primary. Or now, if I'm thinking primary, to me that says accent color. So that should almost be like the
Okay.
orange,
Okay.
or the dark blue. That, I mean, push back against any of this. I'm just spitballing and talking. Um,
Well, so we were talking about orange being an accent color and blue, like a 10% color. Is that right? And then blue being sort of our 30%.
yeah, something like that maybe. And those could be fungible too. So I mean, I think the primary secondary thing. I would think about primary and secondary as being something we could flip very easily. Like, I'm thinking
Okay.
like dark blue and the orange would each be either primary and like one would be primary, one would be secondary. And then if we want to, you could just easily flip that around and see what the inverse looks like.
I see.
Again,
Okay.
not being a designer, we're not working in Figma here to like really get it nailed down before going into the code. So I think there's going to be a lot of experimentation. So making that as easy as possible for us. And then if we want to go tertiary, we could make that the light blue, or
Beautiful.
yeah.
Light
And then
blue
we
or
have
the off white?
I think light blue, because our off white. Uh, yeah, let's just go light blue, and then we'll see if we what we run into.
I almost even just want to call this white because this will be like the white that we use throughout.
Sure.
No reason to have the off. Okay. Let's give this a try.
Yeah. So now we can mess with each of those colors, and we can kind of decide where we want to put them.
So, oh, actually, oh my gosh, did I make vanilla into one of these? No. So I guess I could leave it as vanilla on the background, or did we want to give it a different moniker,
Background
like
primary.
background? Yeah. Okay. Oh, background BG primary. Okay.
Oh, and actually, you can. Well, let's see. So any of these colors that we have in here, we can, in the styles, you can go BG hyphen orange, and it's going to um, make the background of whatever element you're styling the orange. It does that for
Right.
you. We don't have to create background orange. So background primary would end up doing the same thing, but you can.
Or maybe vanilla is not that hard to type out, so maybe we just leave it as that.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of like, yeah, what's a better title, but background is already sort of spoken for
Yeah,
in
I
terms of
mean, we
being a
otherwise we'd
keyword.
have to go like BG vanilla,
Right.
um, or primary. So if we have primary, secondary, tertiary,
Could call it something like back, or like
I mean,
layout
we
or
could
something.
say primary BG at the end. Your class name would
Oh,
end up being BG hyphen primary BG, but
like
um,
this.
I would even maybe just go like capital B, like camel case it,
Okay.
just to fewer hyphens, and the hyphens kind of play a specific role in Tailwind as well. So
You're right.
um,
That's
and that
true.
now that's our primary background color.
Okay. I actually don't
I don't know.
need this then.
somebody can tell me why I'm wrong on that, but it'll work for us.
Okay. Now I guess I need to start you over again, don't I? All
design
right.
is a whole nother thing, man, and like a lot of at least job applications expect front end developers to also be designers.
They certainly do.
And that's not my ball game.
Yeah, I suppose, especially when you work on the front end, you pick up some design skills over time, but
Hopefully, I guess. I bought a
but
course a
it's
long time ago and have yet to actually go through it, and it was a design for front end developers or something like that.
mm,
And I think it was probably just going to be like design 101 in the context of web development. And I should actually go through that course at some
nah. Why would you do
point.
that?
We don't like upskilling around here at all.
No, no. We just like to buy courses and not use them, which isn't really a thing in a way. Okay. With that in mind, so we have our background set. Do we want to style the to-do app itself first, or was there anything you wanted to do on the other page?
I mean, for now, let's just focus on the app. And my thought was to start out and go in, right? So get some sort of a container, like main body of the app kind of figured out,
Okay.
and then go inward towards the form and towards the to do items themselves and all that.
I'm just gonna say set custom colors. Changed background. All right. Can you just do git push? Does that work?
Yeah, and once you set your upstream, you can. Yeah, so do that there.
Ah, okay.
And then now you'll be able
Oh,
to
I
just
see.
do git push now that you've established what your origin is.
Don't you love when it just tells you what to do?
I do. I really do. Oh, it looks like you don't know what you're doing. Did you want to do this? Yes, thank you.
Yes, that's what I wanted. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's talk about some spacing then. That's the first thing that pops off the page to me. Is like, or rather, positioning of all these elements. Um, so what do we have? We have a form. We have our div on the outside, and then we have several groups of label inputs or select, and then we have our list of tasks. Right. Okay. And it looks like everything is encapsulated by the div. Do we want to give like some padding or something like that on the div? Just see what that looks like. Pull it away from the edges of the screen.
So my thought first
Yeah,
is um can you go in here in that div, change the background color to something else. Go like background primary, background secondary. Okay. So we have the body of our app, but then this div that surrounds our form and everything else is only this big.
yes.
So this is where components. I mean, eventually we're gonna have to break this down into components, but I think we're gonna probably not do that today. And we're just gonna. It'll be easy enough if we have it all. If we have all the markup put together, then pulling it out into individual components shouldn't be too bad later on.
Did we want this to take up the whole page? Like,
So that's what I'm thinking is if we
is this the? Yeah,
so the form is I'm thinking like boxes on the screen, right?
sure. Okay.
The form is going to be its own box, and we want that to be somewhere and have some shape and size. Then the list of to-do items is going to be a different box, and that's going to be its own um, shape and size somewhere on the screen in relation to our form. Both of those we're going to want to put them, generally somewhere in the center of the page. So we have to create some sort of a container, and we don't want to do this. The body should be, and I believe it already is because we styled the body and we saw the whole page background change.
Yeah.
So the body is already doing like a height and width of 100%. So I would say because I like the idea of leaving the body very simple, just because it's the body, just like leaving it what it is. So putting a div just inside the body, and that could be this wrapper div here, or we can add another wrapper div around the outside, um, and having that div also cover 100%. I mean, that's redundant. We could set it on the body. I'm trying to get to the point of having a space where we have a wrapper, 100% height, 100% width, inside of which we could then flex center everything.
Right. Okay. I guess then can we do? Is it
Yep.
100?
Yep.
Or no, it's full, right?
Oh, it might be. Yeah, they might both work, but
So that's the width.
try the height, because the width is already 100. It looks like.
Height 100 does nothing. But what if I do height
Try full.
full? Um,
Okay.
Interesting.
I would have thought that worked. Let me check this
Me
out
too.
real quick. Height.
So let me
'Cause
trace this then,
we already
because
have
we have our
a
body.
reset.
Children are in the body.
Yeah,
Because
height full should be 100%.
so we're not. I'm trying to visualize myself, like where is this to do page sitting in
Uh-huh.
terms of this whole app? It's not inside the main, is that correct? Because the main, we have these links that then take us to a separate
Right.
page, which is
So,
what that div occupies, I think.
yep, the page goes inside the layout. I was looking at this for my other project as well. The layout TSX there. So on each route, right? You have the app router, and
Hmm.
it's the directory routing.
Hmm.
Inside of each directory, which is a name, which is your endpoint for that route. If you have a layout, if you have a page in there, that page is going to be the default page of that route. If you have a layout, the page will be injected into the layout. Is how
Okay,
it
I
works.
see. I see.
So,
So it's inside of
so
this.
yes, children there will be. So it's inside the body. Um, it's interesting
So what
that.
if I?
So
Huh?
let's try putting body. Actually, let's try making body.
It didn't change
Okay.
anything, but I guess it's
Um,
nice to be explicit
so
sometimes.
let's do this. The answer lies in the inspector. Go back to your browser, open up the inspector, and look at the markup, and we'll
You're a
see
smart man,
what.
Spencer. I love it. You just saved us 3 hours of work right there by suggesting
Yeah.
this.
So we have body, and then we have div. Um,
So the
so
div does sit directly inside of the body.
yep. So the body. You set a minimum height. Just set height full, height width full again on the
Inside
body.
of body. Okay.
On the body. Okay. Um,
Okay.
Interesting.
So what does H full actually do?
Oh man, I wish I could just grab the code super fast and tinker with it myself. But let's see. I gotta think theoretically here. So
Yeah, it says
the only.
height 100% is what we're doing when we write H full.
Yes, yeah, and that
I
should
was
work.
struggling with this on a separate project recently, and the reason I was using the the min H screen is that it sets it to the height of the screen as a minimum.
Right.
Um,
Yep, I know that as
so what
well.
if okay, so maybe the issue is actually
The body is
that
already full.
okay. So what if it's min height? Do we need to set? Nope, definitely not that.
Do we have access to the HTML element? Although the body is already full height. Like in.
Are you talking about
I
in
guess it'd
here?
be in layout, not in the next app. What's like the most parent component? And I think it's that layout, isn't it? I
It's
don't.
it's the layout.
Oh, there's HTML though, right there.
Yeah.
Um, but the body is already full. Just to scratch this off the list. Go on the HTML. tag and put a class name and try the height full width full. If this wasn't already height full width full, then the body wouldn't matter. The body wouldn't be full height and everything already. Ah, that's it.
Oh,
Yep.
there it is.
Yep. I I
Right.
uh,
Okay. Okay.
I saw a thing a while back that was talking about how the challenge was to center a div, right? As a front end developer with CSS, set vertically and horizontally center this div on the screen. And the catch is that a lot of times people remember about making the body 100% height and width, but they forget to do the HTML element.
Huh.
And
Okay.
that is all that's restricting. It's sitting there and it's restricting until you tell it to fill the whole space.
That's good to know. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Okay. So with that in mind, do you still want the background to be changed colors? I mean, now that we know that we've matched it up to the full page.
Right. Let's keep it at least for a moment just so we can visualize what's going on.
Okay. Sure.
So we've got our container div, at least as of right now, and then we have our wait, this is the container div. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I suppose we would want to add flex because we'll be centering and organizing with flex, right?
hmm I guess I'm still thinking about the container div because now we've lost our vanilla background, and we want to see that, right? I
Right.
was thinking
Mhm.
that this would be a smaller container on top of the vanilla background, like in the center of that.
Oh. So you're thinking that this wouldn't actually fill in the entire page?
Not this one. No,
Okay.
I
Okay.
was I
So
was
let's
thinking
pull these off real quick.
no. Yeah, those ones can come off, but now we know we can do that.
Yes.
And then if we can, I'm trying to think about the best method to giving this a like what kind of width. If we want to do like a max width on it, or if we want to do if you want to, you know
Well,
what? Let's go with content. Okay, this was something else I've learned about.
sure.
These little pieces are just coming back to me. The idea of filling out your design is add space instead of taking space away. So let's take this container and let's
Okay.
make it only as wide as its content. And then inside of this container, on those different elements, we can add padding and
Hmm.
margin to then make it out to be the size that we want. And it's more flexible that way as well.
Is that the tag W content? Let's see.
Um,
Look
that's
that
a
up
good
real
question. Let me with
quick.
fit W
With
dash fit
got it.
here until I'm actually
There it is. There it
coding
is.
anything. I'll keep my my cheat sheet up over here, and it literally is this tailwindcomponents.com/cheat sheet, and it's
Okay.
a really easy way to quickly search through all their stuff. So there, now we've got that.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
I'm
Um,
looking at Spencer shared this to me earlier. And yes, I wish I'd looked into this earlier because WFit feels like exactly what I've been looking for so many things that I've done in the past. Fit to the content that will be within you, which is in a way not how we usually think of things, right? It's often like parent to child to child to child.
right. With
But you need this.
yeah, with HTML and CSS, everything's pushing outward, right?
Yeah,
Or it naturally wants to like snap down to be as small as possible, and
yeah.
then you have to do things to like push it out, right? That's how I think about all of this. Um, so yeah, now we've got these. Now we're looking at the two elements I was talking about before: the form, which is on the left there, and the actual list of to-do items on the right.
Which is over here, right?
Do we
Okay.
have do we have an idea as to which which we want to be like you open up the app and you're thinking about you're looking from top to bottom, what's the first thing we want to see at the top, or do we want to do some sort of a side by side? We could and I'm sorry, I just don't stop talking. I apologize, but ideas are just coming to me. So
You're okay.
this design that I had sent to you and I had looked up beforehand to try and take inspiration from, everything I found for to-do app designs is all mobile. So what if instead of trying to create it desktop, what if we created like two side by sides that are almost kind of like each their own mobile screen, if you will?
Hmm.
Not in
Okay.
functionality, but in look. Like we have two tall rectangles. On one side, we'll have all of our to-do items. On the other side, we'll have our form for adding new to-do items. That way, we can always see both. And like if our to-do list gets really really long, we don't lose our form, right? The form will just stay there, and then we can scroll inside that one container.
I love it.
Maybe I am a designer. Who knows?
Hey. Okay, so just to make sure that I'm clear, what you're saying is we'll still be developing essentially for like a desktop view or like yeah, like a computer view, larger screen, but we'll have two separate rectangles that maybe are independently can move independently, scroll and so forth.
Yeah, yeah.
I suppose the form itself probably won't need to scroll, but the
No, that'll be
these
static.
might eventually.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and we could do the type of thing where either we could design them to be like very clearly two separate rectangles, or
Mm.
you could make it the type of thing where there's like no borders between them, but the two do items will just scroll, which is kind of a
So you're
sleek,
talking about like
be more like a sleek look.
space between. That's not what I meant.
Um,
Oh, maybe W fit gets in the way of this.
Hold on. What are you trying to do?
I was thinking of like trying to split these two up. So like basically
Right.
break off
So
the list to over here.
we probably need to create some parent divs, just to give us like true separation between what we're doing here. So I'd take that space between off of that. Um,
So
so
we can't do that using
this
like the form and the UL as our next set of parent divs.
and I would go one. I would add a div outside of each of those. I would wrap those in something else, just
Okay.
to give us
What's
separation.
what's the theory behind that?
Um, what I have seen and what I generally think of is I'm thinking of taking like I'm using a div as a container element, and
Hmm.
I'm going to style on that to like control its contents. A form or a UL, I'm going to leave that much more open up to like the specific look and functionality of that element.
I see. Okay.
So we're probably going to style the form and the UL, but that's going to be more like what border do we want around the form and like its own spacing. But by giving
Mm,
it a parent element, now we can control like everything's in relationship to each other. Especially, I don't really know CSS Grid that well. I haven't used it a bunch. But I've used Flexbox a lot, and the idea is always these child elements of your Flex containers and how they relate to each other, right?
okay.
So we have a container that's a one Flex parent, and then we're going to have these two wrapper divs inside of there, and then we're going to want to make those into columns, and then we want to be able to work inside of each of those columns independently. So that's why
Okay.
I want to go div, and then inside of there. That's my thought
So
process.
would it be important to set the UL and the form as like uh, width and height 100 or full? I mean.
Maybe we'll get there in a
Okay.
moment. What we can see, again, working outward inward. We've got these wrapper divs now, so let's. We've got our flex parent there, so that outside div is like our container, and that alone could become its own component to just pull it out and then give it props children, so that we have our container, and then we have these two items within there. But we'll see. Um,
Okay.
eventually. So the div around the form. Okay, hold on. No, we don't have to. We can go on the container since we have it as flex. Um, it's already a flex row, so that means the children are columns, and that's what we want. So we don't have to do any like flex direction nonsense. Um,
Because we were looking to what? To
throw a space X like 3 on there. I think
space
that X
X3 like
3.
this.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Did it do it? I think it did, but
Yeah, I think to
you
that.
could try a space X5 just for um, we're just doing space between here.
Is it because we have this W fit? Is that forcing things to come back to content length, to content
Wait,
width?
wait. No,
Like if I re
this is supposed to affect children. Um, and then that's because we got flex. Uh, what am I doing? I mean, that's the right syntax and everything. Um, can you go back to the browser real quick?
yeah,
Uh, click on that the little highlight thing, the very top left button that lets you highlight stuff, and then no, okay, they're right next to each other. They don't have any space between them.
yeah, they're right up on each other.
Yep. Uh, space. So it's only going to. Okay. Um, it's odd that it's not adding the margin. It's supposed to add some margin between them. I guess that's not the
Well,
biggest
I
deal.
guess it does appear that there's space. Hold on, let me click this because if I'm
Oh,
highlighting
there
this,
is margin. It is there. Yep. Okay. It's just tough to see. These numbers are so much more granular than the
yeah,
Bootstrap
right,
numbers I'm used to. In Bootstrap, 5 is like all of it, a ton,
yeah,
and
right.
5. So go like 10, space 10, space x 10. There
There
we go.
we go.
That's a little bit more space. Um, just to separate them a little. So space x adds space on the x plane, right? Space
Sure.
y, if you had items stacked on top of each other, would add space in between your items vertically. Um,
Does this act as margin or
Yeah,
padding?
it's a margin. It's adding a margin left to the rightmost item there.
Okay.
I don't
All
know
right.
if
This
this
yellow
has
color must
a.
be margin.
They also have gap, so you can also use gap. Gap X. Try gap X. Let's see what that does, because they
Okay.
have both of them available, and gap is a
Is gap like space but just all around each element? I
maybe
think
it might
I've
be
used.
gap X again.
Oh, gap X. I see.
Yep, that's right. Hmm.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
now go ahead and click on that thing again and hover over it, and let's see like where the margin is. Okay, so now it's more of a grid idea. So gap works. It does work inside of the flexbox stuff, but I think you use gap much more inside of grids to create the gaps between your different grid items after you've set up your grid shape.
Hmm.
So we could leave it as gap, or you can go back to the space, which might be more consistent with like flexbox. But
Let's do space for now. I've used gap before, but I mean this feels like much more intentionally specific
yeah,
syntax. So I think this will work. Okay, so now we have them separated out, and we have some divs containing on the inside. I'll probably just give these class names now, because I'm sure that we'll be using these to some degree.
yeah.
Um,
So we want to turn our form into a flex container that's set to column, so that all of those
right.
items go under each other. So I think you could do that on the form. I think you have to do it on the form itself. Yeah, and then
Okay,
there.
there we
And then
go.
what we're going to want to do is, and then this comes in, again, componentizing is a whole thing that I really want to do right now. But just for the sake of this, we want to
Should we do
wrap,
it?
we could. So what I'm thinking is that each of those labels and the label and input needs to go inside of its own div. Because right now, if we were to put on the flex component, if we were to put like space Y on there,
It'll
it's going
remove
to
the
put
labels from
exactly. We want each of those to be their own chunk, and since they're all input elements with labels, that's the perfect application for a component that we could construct and then pass props to make it, make it um, each of those types of inputs. Like we only have really like text inputs and like a checkbox, right? Or a select box. Um,
yes.
but you know, uh, creating just um, a component, an input component, or we could even make it a text input component specifically and a select input component to keep them a little bit more modularized. That would probably make
Hmm.
the components a little simpler to write. And then a
I
button
suppose we could,
component too.
yeah, we could build them and then just extract them into components after.
Yeah, but so now though, yep, and now each of those divs needs to also be a column. Needs to be a flex
That's
column,
right.
so that the label is above the input. I really enjoyed this kind of stuff. I really enjoy doing this, like styling, arranging component. I really enjoy building components. I find a lot of pleasure in those patterns. But there we go.
I like
So
that too.
it looks like nothing's different, but now on the form we could throw space Y10.
Oops. Space Y10. And it won't separate the label from the
Yep.
field.
And we have a
Beautiful.
little, and now you can see how our div is starting to expand as we add space, right?
That's right. That's right. I did notice that. Yeah, came down.
So that's the idea. That's the idea behind keeping everything nice and close to each other, and then add space where you need it, and eventually you'll fill it out to being whatever size it's supposed to be or needs to be. Right? I mean, these forms, these inputs are small. We'll increase the text size. We'll increase the height. All of that, and that's all going to like build it out and fill it out to fill more of the screen and look more like an app you're used to operating with.
Okay. So where to from here then? Do we actually want that space 10? I guess that actually
Uh,
makes sense if it's going to be its own column and everything.
yeah, I'd say leave it for now. 10 is probably too much, but it's fine for the moment. I'm seeing we need padding inside of that. Like, so
This one
maybe,
or the form?
yeah. Actually, I mean, we're doing a lot of this. Let's do the div on the outside. Maybe that was redundant and unnecessary, but let's try putting. You could just put like, I don't know, P16 or something,
Gotcha.
or maybe that's too much. But I like the idea of having space.
No,
So
that
then
looks right actually.
that's going to put padding all the way around, right? Because then you could do padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and it's all just like PT, PR, PB, PL, or
Yeah,
then
you can see
P.
the purple is the padding. I'm
Yep,
pretty sure here.
yep, and then like PX and PY. You can also do like it'll go top and top. I love Tailwind. It's once you
So
learn
easy.
the
Yeah.
naming convention, it's very intuitive to how it functions, and it just makes stuff like this so much faster.
Yeah, this
Um,
would have taken us a good deal more time if we were doing vanilla CSS.
yeah. Uh,
Okay, so that
How about
has
that
some
button?
padding.
Should we make that button pop? Should we give it our orange? I like the idea of having that button.
Button, I bestow upon you the title of orange. I'm sorry. Let's see.
That's all right.
BG orange. Is that
Yeah. Or was that our like? Do we want to do like the secondary primary thing?
maybe? Maybe it stays that blue, but it's like the border would be orange.
Oh, did you not like the orange on
Uh,
the button?
background. I want to. I just wanted to see how this
Yeah.
looked.
And the background of
Um.
this might not be the dark blue either, because that's a little bit more of an accent color. So maybe now we can switch that dark blue to the like the light blue.
Oh,
Not the button. The wrapper div, the container. We have primary. I don't know what the light blue color was if we set that up as a secondary or tertiary.
I think I just. I don't think I set that as either.
That might have been the.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I
I
like
actually
it
almost
less
kind of.
against this.
Yeah,
I
I
do
actually
too.
kind of liked the dark blue as the background and then the orange as the pop on the button.
Yeah,
And then as we add more colors, it'll look it's going to look less drastic like that. But
where did the button go? It is right here. Right. So we would have, and I think
was that
it's
secondary?
secondary.
Yep,
No. Oh, it
yep,
was.
yep. That's the orange. And then we were going to change the div color back to the dark blue,
Oh, that's what you were saying. I'm sorry. Okay.
which I think was our
Which?
primary.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I like that. I like that blue and that orange. I think we'll get rid of like the black outlines and stuff, which will help a lot. I don't know. What do you think?
My thought was that maybe the button would be one of the shades of blue, and that orange would be like the trim, the accent color. But we could
Do that
reverse
too.
that idea too, so
Huh?
that like the orange is the button, and then the background, or not the background, like the
The
outline,
border.
and probably the color of submit, like
Mm.
the actual
Yeah,
lettering would be different.
throw a border on it and let's see what that's like.
So then the question is, what color do we use for that?
Um, what was our tertiary? I mean, it's gonna have to be like the light, either the white or the light blue is really the options, I think.
Let's see, what was the tertiary? Oops, this one. Tertiary is B4. It's the light blue.
Okay.
Let's try that. Gosh, I have switching paralysis. Here we go. Okay.
uh, Make it like border 3, or
Oh,
add border 3 to that, like border tertiary border 3.
like this.
I think so. Yeah.
So that thickens the actual border itself
It
around the edge. Is that right?
should, but it didn't look like it did that.
Um, let's try just a large one just to see. Huh, interesting.
Uh, Border. Let's see. Border color. Okay. Border width. Yeah. Border. Oh, border 3 isn't an option. These are in increments of other stuff. So go border 4.
Oh, I see.
We could make border 3. We could make a custom, but
Ah. Oh, okay, okay.
and then why don't you throw rounded MD or rounded LG on there?
Are you
Rounded
thinking
MD.
some medium? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, just to make it look a little less. It's hard to visualize what something's going to look like with such sharp corners.
Mm,
I think the text would have to be the dark blue,
so
or
that
or
would be
even our
primary.
custom white potentially as well. I'm not sure about the light border.
I'm not sure about that either. Is it potentially so? How do we handle that then? Because that was my whole thing. I was thinking when we made this orange was that we would want something to pop to border it, but then we have a dark background, so using a darker color might not work as well.
Hmm.
Hold on, check this real quick. So our background is what? It's secondary. So what if background were for now? Just do primary. We're gonna do border secondary.
Okay, let's see where you're going.
Uh, let's even just try that. I just want to see what this looks like.
Oh, okay.
A little simpler. Now, what if the background color is like maybe a lighter blue?
We could make a yeah. You could either do try light blue real quick, but we also could do we could make
What's it like?
gradients of our dark blue color, and then we could have I think it's got to be the dark color.
I think so too.
Also, we could probably go down to like a border 2, just so that border isn't so obnoxious.
Good idea. So it
And
goes in increments of two. It sounds like.
yeah, and then
Ah,
add like go padding Y 4 or 3 or something. Okay, that's too much, but just to give it some
maybe
space.
we should we bring the width in actually?
Uh, Probably. I mean, the text inputs are going to be larger, and then
Mm, mm.
I think it's probably just defaulting to um. Yeah,
Width of its
that's a little
container.
bit better. Yeah, width
Yeah.
of the form container, which we can affect later on. That's not looking so bad.
No, I
The
was almost wondering if we needed to do like shades of this color blue,
Yeah,
since
that's what
it's
I
going
was
to be
thinking we
like
could do too.
yeah, okay. Which interestingly, we might be able to just do here, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
we can
Look
just
at that. Yep.
start grabbing some of these. Um,
Yeah. Do we want it to be probably go lighter? And then
yeah,
have and then
yeah,
we'll have then it'll change on hover, right? It's going to change. So if we go darker
exactly.
on hover, it's lighter. If we go lighter, it'll be darker on hover.
Yeah. And then the question is which one? I mean, probably like
So
two
don't
up.
click any of them just yet. Can you
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back there and then uh hover over the border between that column and one of the other ones to add, and then copy over the hex color. Or you could, I think there's even just a duplicate.
It
Um,
probably is.
yeah, but now you can, yeah, now you can mess with it. You could try that.
It's almost like too much, huh? You like this one?
I mean, for a moment, if you think it's too much, then we can go like one down on it or something. But
What's the or I guess conversely, what I don't know if this is like a standard way to do things, but one thing I learned, I think in my boot camp was, you could take like, where is it here? I guess it's the RGB value, but you know you can there's like the opacity value. You can
yeah,
like take the exact same color and just change the opacity of it, and it like makes it a little lighter. Obviously, we're kind of
depending
doing
on
the
what's
same thing.
behind it.
Oh, really?
I
Oh,
think so. Yeah, because
interesting.
you're just seeing through it. So whatever color the div, like our div has a background color, and then our button has a background color, and then if you see through the button, you're going to see the background of the
Hmm.
div behind it. So if it's like a lighter color, but what you could do is switch it to HSL, and then you can affect the lightness or luminance.
Oh, actually, let's do this. Copy. We'll come over here. Okay. Mixing my my styles now. Let's go back to picker. Copy you. Okay. So HSL,
Yeah,
and then
HSL is super convenient.
I'm almost feeling like something like this, maybe.
Try it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's make our
Virtue
dark
back.
blue like dark blue 500, so it's right in the middle, and
Okay.
then we could make this one either 4 or 300. I'm
Dark
sure that
blue. And actually, I guess we're going primary. I feel right. Uh, take you all in. So this would be 500, you said. Put you down here. Okay, and then we do a lighter one, so probably like 400. I feel like something we would want. 3, 4F. Okay, good. Okay,
and for me, I would put the 400 one line above the 500, just flip those in order.
you with your logic, Spencer. That makes sense.
And now we'll
Okay,
have to restart the server again
I have to
after after you,
restart the server
after you
and
save. But
yes, saved. Okay.
I don't mean
Um,
to be telling you every keystroke. I apologize.
no, let's get granular with it. Okay. It's
Backseat
okay
developers,
because,
man, the
to be
worst.
honest, front end is not my strength. So it is good to get some guidance in this way. Okay, so there's a few things that we have to go through and change. For one, in the layout, no, that's fine. It is not the layout. It was, oh, actually, we did it here.
Yeah, just do a search for primary. Oh yeah, okay, there you go. So yep, again, we could do prime. That should work.
PG primary 500. Should work. Do I have to refresh you? Yes, that is the problem.
Nice.
What happened? Okay, I was going to say what happened to the task list.
It's taking a second. It's taking a second.
Okay, and I think that's actually the only place where primary is being
Okay.
used at the
So
moment.
now we can try our primary 400
Okay,
as
so we're going to
the
do that
background.
as the background. Oh, I removed that, didn't I? Yes. Primary.
Ah, okay. And then when you hover it, it could go back. But so I'm digging some of that. Now here's
I
a
almost feel
question,
like should this be like the hover color?
or
Have you?
something I was also thinking was like, what if we I mean, we're gonna go back and forth a million times. But what if we flipped the background of the button with the background of the container?
Okay.
If we
So
had
you're
the
talking.
lighter background over on the form, so just yeah, make this 500, and then go to the yeah. I think we just flip those. No, that's an idea. Thoughts? If I could see
Yeah,
it
I don't
go,
know.
we could go either way.
Yeah, I feel like part of what's throwing me in a weird way is the this is all still black. The text, I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate this. I'm not so sure now that I see it though about the orange as the accent on this. I don't know. I don't know if it's because of this yellow, this vanilla that we still have in the background. But I don't know. I might be getting too granular with it at the moment.
I was a fan of the orange being the primary background on the button itself, just because that's gonna like having our primary buttons being the orange with the like with that dark blue being kind of our primary like div background color. It means
Hmm.
that the orange is gonna pop against those a lot. But um,
Let's try that again. Let's do this. Oh, well, I guess what I really wanted to do was switch this back to 500. Hmm, not quite. Or should it be the other way around? So one more time. This is 400, but these are 500. Maybe to give it a darker outline. Closer. I like that better than the other way around. But you know what? I mean, there's a lot of room to improve this.
yeah, it take a lot of experimentation, finding kind of like
I
what we want.
I think you're right though. Now that I see this, I like the orange better against the blue background than like blue on blue.
Yeah, I think it'll make the again for like the very primary buttons, and then we can have a secondary a secondary button could be like um like our vanilla with an orange or with a blue, like I'm talking about like a very light background with, and then make that an outline button. The thing I see about with design all the time, at least in the different libraries I've used, is that your primary buttons don't always have outlines on them. Yeah, they can, but a lot of the times it's a solid button for your primary, and then your secondary buttons are called outline buttons, where the
Oh,
background is like more of a transparent or but then the outline and the text on the button match each other. And then when you hover over it, it's going to fill in with something. But that way, those look empty, right? So it looks like a secondary idea, whereas your primary button is this big fat orange button that like draws your eye, and that helps you. That's going to help you navigate the app, being like, oh, I absolutely need to click this button because it's the big orange thing on the screen. But then a secondary option won't grab your eye as much, right? So you're giving hierarchy to the different components.
so we're thinking like remove the border color.
You could try removing the border. Um, I think you have to take. Is that still
It
there?
is still there.
Yeah, you want to take out
Uh,
the border and the border too.
well, because we still want it to be rounded, right? Or does this not
Yeah, so
affect the
you
border?
don't need the border on there to do rounded.
Oh, yeah, cool. Okay. How right you are.
Something like that, and then maybe the text would be black.
Yeah, okay, I see that. Should mean that we just let it be default, I think. Yeah, that's not so bad.
I like that for at least for the moment, and then we can give it a hover. We can give our orange, another gradient color.
Let's do that.
Maybe I'm thinking darker for the hover color.
Darker? Okay, let's do that. So where we were right here.
Is that the same orange? That's a different orange.
Let's go back. Oh, you're red. Oh, I'm sorry. I just made one to the left.
Yeah, it's
You
just
actually
picking a
have
color
to
that's
copy
like
it.
complementary or something.
Good eye. Coral, do
Coral.
you want me to go a little darker?
What's one more? Orange. I don't know. You
Crayola.
could try that.
Yeah, let's give it a try. Okay, so now going back to our Tailwind config file. This is our secondary color.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so this one's going to be 500, just like before. This time I will put the. Oh, actually, it'll be
No,
600, I
do like
suppose.
600. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. I need that.
And then we have to restart again.
Of course. And then also, I guess we were talking about um, hover. So walk me through what's the syntax for adding a hover color? Is it
Um,
like hover colon,
I think it's uh,
e.g.
that's cursor. I think. Oh, hover. Yeah, hover colon, and then the property. Yeah, so it's the action you're doing, and then the color. It's been a while. I haven't since I've started using Tailwind again recently. I
Ooh,
have not. Yeah, turns
that's
it to a
nice.
like it's going from like our primary color into like a nice rich orange to like really
Saying,
say click me.
press me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay.
I love it.
Listen, Spencer, we're a little over today.
Yeah, we are.
Should we wrap this up here?
Yeah, we should. I don't want to, but we absolutely should.
I could go for probably a couple more hours myself, but
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, I agree.
This is super cool and super fun. I'm really looking forward to doing more of this. So yeah, we can wrap it here. Our to-do list is looking fly.
Do we need to add anything to our to-dos? I guess we're still just doing.
I think we're working on style the page, which is our highest priority as of now.
That's right. That's right.
In the future, we could add a like in progress flag to a to do item so that you can see which one you can mark something as something that you are doing currently. But that'll be a job for another time. But I'm super excited about where this is going.
Yeah, this is looking great. This is a great start. And this is the thing about front end development. Sometimes it's like, yeah, it's easy to think that like, oh, the business logic is what will take forever and what we're going to spend the most time on. But oftentimes, I've found that's a lot easier than the actual styling, the actual positioning of all these things that we're going to be interacting with.
CSS
It's
can be real fickle sometimes.
Yeah, very very fickle, and it is itself its own logic. I mean, it works exactly how it works,
Yep.
um, but
And
it can be very
you have to
hard to
know.
predict that.
You have to know how it functions and how it wants to operate.
Totally,
Absolutely.
totally.
Awesome. And the fact that we're actively making design decisions too. Like that's a whole job. Like that's somebody's job is just to choose where the color is going to go, what are the border radius is going to be, like how what's the spacing going to supposed to look like. They just paint a picture, right? And then it's our job to make it something that actually is interactable. But that's an entire job that we're doing at the same time here. So that's going to massively slow down the process as well.
Yes. It makes sense though. It's its own discipline. It's its own set of skills, and
Hmm.
often I think developers get asked to take on a lot of that. And it makes sense. It's easier when it's all in one person, but it is a separate job, as you said. It is a
Yeah.
separate set of work to do. And honestly, it's something that I need a little more work on myself. So I'm glad we're getting a chance to do some of that here
We're learning
today.
that too here. That's it's all
That we
good.
are.
So, cool. Well, thank you, Courtney. Thank you for everybody that was tuning in, chiming in, and checking us out. I had a lot of fun with this one today, and I'm going to be out next week, and then the following week we might do an episode on Tuesday because that's one of the few days I'm back that week, and then I will be out the following week as well. So a little bit of leapfrogging. Everybody's in good hands. Courtney's got you covered. Um, Maybe just doing some more CSSing or whatever you want to do, and then I'll come back and see where
Yeah,
you're at.
Since I have probably a couple weeks where you won't be here, I'll try to maybe come up with a kind of like how you walk people through doing maps and implementing a map feature. Maybe I'll find a small feature to implement. I don't want to do it without you, but I could build a metronome with you all.
That'd be so cruel.
Yeah, I
I mean, you
know.
totally could if you want. Or think of any other type of. I mean, the project is an umbrella to learn.
That's
So
right.
whatever project, because my other side project involves a map. So I used those couple of weeks to just like fiddle around with maps. Um, but you could think of whatever other subject that we want to eventually learn through this process, and then do something related to that. What if that's like authentication or session management? You'd mentioned session management as one of the things you want to check out, and just like use it as an hour and a half to just learn and practice something.
It's an infinite list. I
Absolutely.
could pick anything off of it.
I'll be excited to see what you do.
Me too.
All right, cool. Well, it's been fun, and we're gonna no longer be live. So
Take care,
see you,
everyone.
everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
cool.
it was a good one.
Man, I could
I
I
learned
could
a lot
sit
today,
I
man.
could sit for hours and work on fleshing that out because now I have an actual idea. Once I said those two like columns next to each other, now I actually have like a bit of a vision of like what I'm thinking, and I'm really excited to make it a real thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Once you start getting things moved into like the position that you like to have them in, and you can really start doing like there are actually like small changes, like padding here, making sure that everything's lined up in the correct way. Once it starts really like coming into view as like, oh, this is more close to the vision. Like it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, and the fact that it'll work, and then we can start adding like really tasty animations. So like when we add it to do item, it can just kind of like
Yeah.
fade in, or like
Oh, I love
the
it.
whole maybe the whole list will just like animate down, and the new one will fade in at the top or something. Like really fun stuff like that.
Oh, that
It
sounds
just makes an
awesome.
app so enjoyable to like work with when everything isn't just snappy. Like boom, I'm on screen now. As
Right,
the
right.
animations really bring it life. I'm excited for all of that. Yeah, the front end stuff is fun. I like it.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. I'm glad this will be an education for me for sure. Like I'm so behind on my front end skills. I've never worked with animations or anything. I've worked with micro interactions, I think as they're called, like on hover effects and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But that's a different thing. And even that could potentially be animated. I don't know if it needs to be, but like
Oh
that
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
it
like
should
thing,
be. Yeah,
it like
yeah, it's
fills in
like
instead
a
of
very small duration, but like instead of it just clicking over to that new orange color, having it like just fade in a little bit, fade out, fade in,
yeah.
fade out. That'll be really good. We could get drop shadows or box shadows are really helpful too. I intend for that blue
Hmm.
large container. Once we get it centered, we'll round off the corners and we'll add a drop shadow to it, and it'll just look like it's floating on the screen.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I really
Box
like that
shadows
look
are great.
too. Yeah. So
All right, man. Good stuff. Good stuff.
all right, well, I've got so much form. Maybe not so much, but like I've got more stuff that I need to square away before we try and leave town today. Because the other option was I don't leave town today with my family, and I stay through the weekend, and then I go down on Monday or Sunday to like spend all day tomorrow working on this thing. Um, and I know my wife would not be happy with that decision,
I can imagine.
and I kind of don't want to do that either. So
We'll get to it.
we
I'll leave you to it. I got a boogie anyway, but
cool.
this is good, man. Have a
Yeah,
good vacation. I hope you all have fun. When you get out of there, step away from this shit and just like be a human again.
yeah, exactly. Just like chill. I'm gonna take a book and just like my intention is just to, I've got kids, so there's always a balance there, but like try and find a little bit of time to just like go off and just like not be rushing to do something.
Yeah, I dig that.
So cool. Fun as always, and we'll figure out what we're gonna do, like maybe a week from Tuesday, but otherwise next week, uh, you've got the reins, my man.
Yeah, I'll take them. I'll treat her nice. I promise.
All right, yeah. Here's the keys. Uh, fill her up when you're done.
Yeah,
Uh,
of course, of course. I'm not rude,
All right, cool. I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care, Spencer.
See ya.